Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the CDL podcast channel. In this episode today, we've got some news coming out from IW devs talking about the future of MW2, as well as some older news from way back that could have changed COD history. We got the race for 8th place heating up. It got a lot more interesting this weekend with Vegas's win over Rokkr. Going to talk about who we think is going to pull it out now as we head into the final week of qualifiers for the CDL 2023 season, which sounds crazy to say. Some other news involving champs, and then we're going to talk about some matches from this weekend, as well as predictions for this upcoming weekend. So, got a lot to get into. Excited to get into it. It's going to be a fun day. If you guys enjoy this one, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. We're at about 975 subs, 25 off what our goal was for the end of the year. So, if you guys could help us hit that by champs or, during champs, that would be amazing. We'd greatly appreciate the support and continued support from you guys. If you're on the audio platforms, drop a follow, drop a 5-star review. That's all we got for the intro. Let's get right into it. Brock, how you doing today?
Doing pretty good on this Monday. Nice out, which is a big W. Matches, I watched some of them. Some of them were stinkers, but some of them were pretty interesting, like the LAT and Florida match.
Yeah, not the result we were expecting in that one, maybe.
Definitely not, but the cash was up for it. Extra incentive.
Yeah, I was able to catch most of Sunday. I was able to go back, watch some highlights from some of the other matches, but as you all know, I was very busy this weekend. Best man in my cousin's wedding this weekend, so I was very busy Friday and Saturday especially. So I'm not brushed up on every little thing that happened on Friday like I normally am, but got a pretty good knowledge base, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. Yeah, speaking of LAT, we can talk about them real quick right away. We did have somebody telling me that LAT was the only S tier team and OpTic was still in A tier on the last pod, and I was like, even though LAT just won, they started 0-2. I think we have to at minimum put OpTic in S tier with them because of how good OpTic looks. Well, I'm gonna go out on a limb right now and say OpTic is S tier, and maybe even Toronto's up there with them, but Thieves are not on OpTic's level currently as we speak. They just lost to Florida and they're 0-3 in this qualifier.
Yeah, they're having a stinker of a qualifier so far.
Yeah, then they're S tier talent, but right now you can't start 0-3 in a qualifier and tell me they're right at the top. I could easily see them going to make a run at the major, but it's looking like they're going to start in losers. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
They maybe have to like 6-0 Minnesota and London, which is doable because they own Minnesota this year, and obviously London's should be a win. My God, if Thieves lose to London, that's rough.
Yeah.
But we got a little bit of news to dive into. First thing, and kind of a funny note, in my opinion, Infinity Ward multiplayer design director Jeff Smith said that with the final maps to be released in MW2, they've leaned into maps that would play. What is the exact quote here? They kind of leaned into maps that would play that style really well when discussing the competitive side of the game. So apparently, for the final maps being released, they're leaning into the competitive style maps that they think would play very well. You want to say what the issue with this is, Brock?
It's a little late.
Yeah.
So
cool. Yeah, that's great. You're leaning into it, but champs is in like about exactly a month, and the last major is this coming weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And like a ranked play, as we know, isn't going to be completely dead, but it starts to die out after champs is over because a lot of people's motivation to play comes from them watching, and then they get excited to play. So when champs is over, a lot of the player base kind of does die down a little bit.
Yeah, 100%.
Especially with the pros. No pros play a game after it's over unless it was like a really good game. And now I'm going to go out on a limb and say that pros really aren't going to be playing too much MW2 when the season's over.
Yeah, I just don't see them playing this game, unfortunately. But yeah.
Yeah. So it's an interesting note there. I can't believe that they've actually said they're leaning into it and going to release them because I don't exactly know when they come out, but that's going to be so funny if it's like the week after champs, the new season starts, and they release like actual good maps for competitive. It's going to be like another slap in the face. Like, wow, they released good competitive maps right after the season was over. We could have added them in if they were released right away.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he can say that, but also like I have such trust issues with Activision and especially Infinity Ward that like I honestly doubt that these maps they're releasing aren't even going to be good competitive maps, to be honest.
Yeah, they just think they're going to be good, but they're not sure because they're not pros.
Yeah, they probably are like looking at like I don't even know like hotel, and they see that it's played in all three game modes, and they're like, oh, this must be just a crazy well designed map, and they're like doing something similar, and it's just gonna be the most average map
Yeah.
ever.
hmm Even if they did release the new maps in like a week or two, the pros still wouldn't probably
No,
use it because it's too late, way too late.
it'd be way too late. Everybody would be like, it basically just it'd be like putting it Expo. Expo was even like pushing it for how late they put it in. Like over
Yeah,
halfway through the season, you got to like randomly implement a control, switch it out, and I would argue that Expo would have never made it in had it not been for like Fortress being one of the worst, if not the worst competitive map we've ever seen. Fortress control.
yeah. Literally,
I
if Big
doubt.
wasn't,
Yeah,
jeez,
like if that wasn't the worst map, I doubt that Expo even makes it in. So like,
the
yeah,
worst map fucking ever
it's
for control.
interesting. It's kind of a slap in the face to be honest. Everybody's like, oh, at least they're like getting into that and like acknowledging that they can make competitive maps. Okay, well that's great. We don't have another IW game for 3 years, so like cool, they lean into it now, but like doesn't really mean much to us right now, and they would actually have to carry that over and do it in their next game.
Yeah, which we don't know if they do or not.
No, but we are looking here at the next thing we want to talk about, and it also has to do with Jeff Smith, that multiplayer design director at Infinity Ward. Apparently, he said Shipment wasn't supposed to be in COD 4, and it was released like completely by accident. When I saw this, I was like, sounds about right for Activision and Call of Duty and Infinity Ward. But he basically said our multiplayer lead at the time when we went live forgot to pull it out, and there was no going back. So initially wasn't meant to be playable in 2007, and apparently was quote truly an accident.
He's
I'm on the record, and I think I think you kind of feel the same way, but I don't actually know. I don't know if we ever talked about it with you on here, but like I am of the opinion that I don't actually really like Shipment that much. Like as a multiplayer map, I like your Nuketown way better.
Mhm.
It's like kind of lower on the list, and I think I rank it on like a tier list a lot lower than most people do in terms of like all-time COD maps. But like it's a classic map. It's made for 1v1s. It's made for custom games. You can quick scope. You do all that. Like it's an iconic Call of Duty map, and it
Yep.
certainly shaped a lot of people's memories around Call of Duty. So it is very important in the history of COD. Crazy to think that if somebody would have done their job correctly, um, we would have never had it.
Yeah, that's just honestly crazy to think about such an iconic 6v6 map. But Shipment to me is like, it's like okay to me, I guess. I don't really
Yeah.
love it compared to like Dome or Nuketown, for me at least.
Yeah, it's like I appreciate it as an iconic map, but it's not one of my favorites. But I also can't imagine the landscape of COD history without it. Like it's one of those classic like Rust. Rust is like
hmm
the ultimate classic 1v1 map. It's like the meme.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that. But Shipment's like you hop on, you and your friend are like talking trash to each other and you want a 1v1, you hop on a Shipment quick scope or something.
Yeah.
Or you go warm up on a Shipment before you play some GBs. You'd go like both run around 1v1, just shoot the gun, warm up for GBs. Like that's just like a classic thing.
hmm
I can't imagine COD history without it. So good thing they made that mistake. They've been making mistakes all the way back since 07, and they still continue to do it.
It was a good mistake.
Yeah, very good mistake they made.
I will say is I played Shipment in Vanguard. It was a 4v4 game mode. And I played not terrible compared to
It,
6v6.
yeah, 6v6 gets so chaotic, and then when you get like, I hated in Vanguard though they had that streak that was like a napalm where the fire
Yeah.
would stay on the ground, and you like literally would just spawn into fire and just like repeatedly die because
hmm
it covered like the whole map. That was so stupid.
Yeah, literally. It would stay for like a long time too.
Yeah, that was very dumb. Wasn't a fan of that, but it's whatever. Very
Yeah.
important that it actually made it into the game though, because COD history, like I said, would look a lot different without it.
hmm
Um, Now we can get into a little bit of CDL standings talk. So our race for 8th place, like I said, heating up. Rokkr at 160 points after this past weekend, and I believe now they fall to 1 and 2 in qualifiers. So they beat London and lost to Boston, and now lost to Vegas.
Yep.
So they're at 160 points, holding on to 8th place for dear life. And they play Thieves and Ultra. So Thieves, like we said, are struggling, but Thieves, we know them. They're still a very good team. And then they also play Toronto, which you could argue right now looks like maybe the second best team in the game behind OpTic. And then Vegas is
Mhm.
9th place with 150 points, 10 points behind, and they play Surge, who had been struggling, did look a little bit better in their last match. So maybe a little bit harder than we thought for Vegas because Surge did look pretty good, but only 10 points behind it from what we heard. Vegas does own the tiebreaker as they're 4-0 against Rokkr this year. So all Vegas has to do is make sure they're tied up by the end of Major 5. And right now I would technically say they have the inside track because they're in a situation where they win this game against Surge, they're guaranteed winners. And they'd be tied where like Rokkr probably has to beat both Thieves and Ultra in order to make winners.
Yeah, that's a big game for Vegas.
I mean, yeah, Vegas would have to choke horrendously. Let's say Vegas wins this week to go 3-2 and Rokkr loses both. They'd be tied at points going into Major 5 with Vegas and winners and Rokkr starting losers. So it'd have to be a catastrophic choke from Vegas, considering they own the tiebreaker and would be in winners, and Rokkr would be in losers if Vegas ended up somehow choking. But right now, we said coming into this split with the way things were looking that it seemed like Rokkr would have it in the bag, but right now I'm not so sure.
No, I wouldn't say that either.
I would actually argue that Vegas maybe has the inside track because I think it's more realistic that they beat Surge than Rokkr beats both Thieves and Toronto.
Yeah, I fully agree with that because there ain't no way Rokkr's beating LAT even though they're playing pretty bad.
Yeah, like even though, like you said, LAT playing very poor, they have like had Rokkr's number on a different level this year. Rokkr's beating them like one map.
Yeah, it's like 15-1.
Yeah, they beat them on that one map at the last tournament.
Yeah.
So I think it was a control too. I think it was like an Expo control they beat them on.
I think so, yeah.
So yeah, they're like 1-15 or 1-12, whatever the record is. It's very bad. It's not a record you want to see. So honestly, I think Vegas has the inside track. As weird as that sounds, it seemed like they were gonna have to make a crazy run to make it, but they haven't even had to do anything really that crazy. They're just 2-2, and they bottomed out top 12 at the last major. So they've actually kind of limped their way. They're 2-2 so far in this split, and also had a horrible major 4, and they still find themselves gaining ground on Rokkr.
I don't know if they had a decent major, they'd be up to like 20.
Even if they won, all they had to do was win one. Like, even if they lost first round, just win one losers match, and they'd be tied.
Yeah.
I did think the other funny thing was how they were saying if OpTic didn't forfeit to Rokkr earlier this year, because like they should have been up 2-1, probably would beat them because Rokkr was not good at the time and OpTic was pretty good. I do think it is funny that the SAE thing happened, and if OpTic maybe play that out and win, we'd see Vegas in 8th right now.
Yeah, this is crazy to think about from the first couple games in the season.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of funny, to be honest.
Yeah.
But last thing we have to talk about, this is something pretty cool in my opinion. So Nick Merckx apparently that the CDL is paying him to watch party the champs final. I believe it was just a final from what it sounded like. I don't know if he exactly said it, but it sounded like it was just a final. They're paying him to watch it. He was saying like he hopes obviously Faze are in it because he's part of Faze, so that makes sense. And he did say, I hope Thieves aren't in it. He's got his little beef with Nadeshot and the Thieves.
Yeah,
He did say that, but I'm like 99% sure he did watch party the final last year when it was Thieves versus Faze. But my question is obviously Nick Merckx, massive creator, in not only the Call of Duty world but just FPS world and just streaming world in general, one of the biggest creators. So Jacob Hale posted the thing, champs viewership predictions. Current record's 335K. Obviously, I'm pretty sure that means peak viewership. I'm just going to click an answer. I'm going to click 3 to 450K just to see what percentages they're at. So we got 13% as of now believing that it'll be less than 300K. About 29.5% thinking it'd be 300 to 450K. The most votes with about 35%, 450 to 600K, and then about 23% of people think it'll peak over 600K. I do think it would probably beat 335K because I think if Nick Merckx is watch partying, I believe probably Courage and Tim would also watch party.
Yeah.
I gotta think if Courage is watch partying and Thieves are in it, and Nadeshot's maybe hopping in. Scump's obviously gonna be watch partying it. It all honestly comes down to if OpTic's in it, in my opinion.
It's literally like if the top 3 brands are in it, it will probably surpass it.
And I think there's a decent chance that between OpTic, with how they're playing right now, I think there's a decent chance OpTic's in it. And then like if Thieves or Faze could be the other team in it, I think that they'll break like 450K. I think I'd vote 450 to 600. I think they will crush it because I think Nick Merckx will bring in a ton. Scump's watch party is something we haven't ever seen for champs. So I think that'll bring in a ton like it has been helping to break all the viewerships. The regular stream's obviously going to get a good amount. If you got Tim, he's probably going to pull basically what Nick Merckx pulls, if not more. And Courage could also pull a solid bit on top of other watch parties. Zuma, the flank, all those.
Yeah.
I think they're going to break the record. If I put the asterisk, if OpTic is in the final. They might even do it if OpTic's not, just because Scump is still going to pull a lot. That's a variable that we've never seen, the Scump watch party.
Yeah.
So even if OpTic isn't it, but I'd say it's a guarantee. I'll put my stamp on a guarantee. If OpTic is in the final, it will break the record.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if OpTic and Thieves are in the final compared to OpTic and Faze, what would be more?
I don't know. I feel like Thieves and honestly, I feel like COD fans wise and people that are watching the CDL, I feel like there might be more Thieves fans. I know there was that graphic that came out the other day of like how many fans there were. I think that graphic was so false that it wasn't even funny.
Oh, like that. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I know that it says that there's like, I think it technically tells you, where is it? I'm trying to see.
Was it like every like one fan?
Here
like,
it is. I found it. So example for every Gorillas fan. So Gorillas had the least fans in the league. Rock, you are one of them.
Sure
so
am.
they had roughly. So this graphic says for every Gorillas fan, there are 18 OpTic fans, and it says that the second biggest fan base is Vegas Legion, 8.8 fans. So let's say that basically means that for every Vegas fan, there's 2 OpTic fans. That is so cap.
I don't know. Vegas is like that.
Yeah. You're telling me that if you like looked in a row, you'd see 2 OpTic fans, then a Vegas fan, then 2 OpTic fans, then a Vegas fan in a venue like, let's say OpTic and Faze are playing at Champs Finals. You're telling me that there are only like roughly double the amount of OpTic fans as there are Legion fans out there? That's such a lie. There might be people that are like rooting for Legion because they like Clay, but there's no way it's only 2 to 1.
Yeah.
Thieves and OpTic, I can believe that a little bit more realistically. That's 2 to 1 because I do believe Thieves has a massive fan base. Honestly, surprised to see Faze all the way down at 5. So for every 18 OpTic fans, there's about 5 Faze fans. That honestly surprises me because they're just barely above like Surge. I was also really surprised to see Minnesota down at like 3rd to last because it does feel like they have a lot of fans.
Yeah, it does. So I feel like that it's a little inaccurate.
Yeah, that's why I believe it's not really a true representation of what the fan base actually looks like. But yeah, I think if I had to take a bet, I think OpTic Thieves would be the biggest draw. But I would definitely take an argument for Faze also, because like Legion is technically the second most popular team based on this, but I believe that a final with Thieves or Faze would easily outdraw a final with Legion.
Yeah, 100%.
And it all matters, obviously. They all will outdraw anything if OpTic's in it.
Yeah.
All right. That's about all we got for news, though. We can jump into talking about some of the matches from this past weekend. Obviously, like we said, might keep this one slightly more short just because, I was busy with the wedding and stuff this weekend, obviously, so I wasn't able to really, really dive into as much as I'd like. But we can talk about some of the big matches and implications that they have. And there are also some matches where, like the toilet bowl match, like, do we really want to sit down and talk about that? Because, it actually doesn't matter anymore because the teams are officially eliminated. They have been eliminated for a while, but they're actually officially eliminated from champs contention now.
Gorillas won.
Yeah, that I guess we can mention that your boys that you put 4 points on, they showed out for you finally.
They show it out for the one time.
Yeah, Joe deceives, nasty. I got nothing else to say about this match besides like Joe continues to prove why he deserves a shot in the league next year, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Exceed.
Exceed.
Yeah, once again. Good player.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think Exceed makes it in the league next year, though.
He's a solid player. Maybe not like a league level player, but he's doing what he's best for what he has.
Yeah, he's a good player, but I don't think anybody views him as like a star potential player. I think people do look at Joe. I think Joe reminds me a little bit of Afro right now when he was on that London team when they were really bad in Cold War, but he was picked up at the end of the year and he showed some flashes.
Mhm.
I think Joe kind of reminds me of that people see the raw talent and ability he has that he can pop off, and they're like, yeah, if I got him in the right system, he could be really good. So I feel like Joe has a chance to make it on a good team and really excel. I think Exceed's decent. The other thing I want to say is shout out to Assault. Assault this whole year has quietly played very well, in my opinion. Like, he's been a very good player, and like people are roasting him because like obviously in Cold War he really struggled on the Guerrillas team and all that. But like Assault has very quietly been a good player this year.
Yeah. He just has some bad maps, but he's been overall pretty steady.
Yeah, like I just pulled up the stats just for the whole season. I mean, there isn't a single person that played for LAG this entire season that's overall KD is above a 1, which is kind of funny. Assault is their number 1, though. That's hard for me to believe that Assault's above Joe Deceives. It's so hard to pop off though when your team's just getting world starred every map. But like,
yeah,
Spart had a 0.81, Neptune had a 0.82, and they're on here. Hook had a 0.9 on this team, which is hilarious. Exceed has a 0.91, Arcitys has a 0.92. Joe has a 0.96 and Assault has a 0.97. For how bad they are and the tough role he's playing with 2 mains in their team, 0.97 is not bad. So shout out to Assault. He's played very well, and I wouldn't be like thinking it's the end of the world if some team next year that was one of the cheaper teams started out with Assault as their main. I don't think he'd be like the end of the world.
Yeah.
He's a good player.
Still got the talent.
Yeah. Enough about those 2 teams, though. We just had to talk about them, I guess, because they did finally come through for you.
Yep.
Let's see. We can just go through the matches here. We can brush on Mutineers, and Breach is a good win for Breach. Obviously, Mutineers get 3-0'd. Big Wake pops off against his former teams. The AR duo Beans also popped off. Brack was shooting back. Nobody else really was. It was a close hard point, and then from there on out, Boston took the series, but Boston looking pretty good. They do end up falling to Surge later on, so we can, more focus on them.
Mhm.
Go 1-1 in the week, but I think they're pretty secured in for champs, but they're just still still feels like they just can't get over the hump against top teams, and Surge isn't even really a top team right now with the way they've been playing.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. They're still like top 6 teams. Just can't beat the good teams.
Yeah, it's so odd.
It's what they've always been, though. It's like so weird, even with the different variations of the roster.
I mean, I respect it because like last year they were built like the last team, and it was like, damn, they actually built a pretty good squad for being like the last team. And this year also, like their team isn't bad, but it's just like they just don't seem to have that ability to just like there are other teams that I feel like could put it together on a weekend, but like it just doesn't seem like they have the stamina. Like if Subliners came back out and put it together for one weekend and made a run, I wouldn't be like super shocked, but I just can't see Boston doing that.
Yeah. It's like they'll always just like not be able to, not have it in them to do it. Or they all won't play as well together, which they need to for them to beat the top teams.
Yeah. I guess let's talk about Florida just for 1 second because they did lose to Boston, but they beat LA Thieves. And like when you look at the overall stats, it was a 3-1 for Florida, and the only map that Thieves won was the search and destroy. So like the KDs are gonna look insane for a 3-1, especially because they got beat 250 to 128 on a Fortress hardpoint. They got beaten at close Zarqua, and then they got 3-0'd in control like quickly. So like the KDs are gonna look insane for the series, and they do. So nobody on the side of Thieves was positive. The best on the team was a 0.91 from Kenny. And on the side of Florida, Brack had a 1.11, Fellow had a 1.19, Vickle had a 1.31, and Cap had a 1.15. So like the stats in the series look insane how bad Thieves got outslayed by Florida.
Yeah. That's the bounty match. Mutineers wanted more. Thieves are just like, nah, I guess. They didn't want to show up today.
Yeah, they said Thieves are playing for that big cash. We don't get a chance to. We gotta lock in here and make that big cash from this match, I guess.
Yeah. I'm not really surprised though at Thieves doing this.
Yeah, where's it been for Florida all year though? Like we knew Vickle and Capsule had talent as a sub duo. We know Fellow and Brack are solid AR players. It just took way too long for them to piece together. And I guess let's talk more about Thieves for this one. Are you starting to get a little bit concerned about this Thieves team? Maybe not long term. Like I'm not super worried about them. I still think they have a chance to make a run at champs and win it or something. But like, it is a little concerning that they won an event and they just like completely fall off.
A little bit. It's not like too much though. Just
Yeah,
what I just don't get how one game they'll be so good, although they'll win a series pretty handily against anyone, and then they'll just come back and do this against Florida.
yeah, it's kind of like when it happens with like Faze when they struggle for a little bit. I really wasn't concerned because it is Faze. We have such a history with them, so I feel like I have to be fair and be like with these, I'm not as concerned because they won back-to-back events and they won a world championship last year with this roster, and they are coming off a championship at the last major. So like I can't be like crazy concerned, but like it's like okay, they lost the first two matches, but to lose to Florida, who's been struggling for so long, like, ugh.
It seems like they just woke up, all got to the facility, and just hopped on without shooting bots and played. They got fried.
Yeah, it's such an odd situation. I don't know, but we'll see if they can bounce back this week. I don't know exactly how the standings look for them if they go like 6-0 map count to make winners, like sneak in as like the 8 seed, 7 seed, because they would be 2 and 3. It's certainly doable because, like we said, they play London and Minnesota this week, so they could definitely double 3-0 that. But I would like to, for once, see a team not suck after they win.
Yeah, maybe OpTic's doing the right thing. He's placing second until champs.
Yeah, just don't win at all, so you don't get that like winner's curse. Although, like, because like New York didn't play the best. I think they still made winners after winning, but they didn't play the best at the major. And then Faze, their Faze, they still played pretty well in the qualifiers after and made winners. And then from there on out, it was Toronto won, was very bad, made losers. Thieves won, and then has been very bad and likely could be headed to losers because at best they can finish 2 and 3. But yeah, Thieves got to get it figured out.
Yeah, it's probably likely the losers for them.
Yeah. And in a team on the opposite side of the spectrum, that is our probably top team right now. Not probably, they pretty much are. That's OpTic. They have a convincing weekend, 3-0 in Seattle. Some big plays out of Dan Ghosty, a big series out of him. And then they 3-1 Toronto in what was a very good series. All of these maps were down to the wire. Toronto could have won all 4 of them. OpTic could have won all 4 of them. To me, I think right now, if we're talking just right now, we watch the 2 best teams in the game play each other in this series.
Yeah,
in the OpTic versus Toronto.
They're close as can be, really.
Yeah, and I mean, in my opinion, the main difference that we saw in this series is what I would actually say is probably OpTic's strength versus Toronto, and that was the slaying. Slaying was on the side of OpTic in the series, and that's not honestly that shocking to me because I do feel like OpTic's major strength over this Ultra team is when they're both firing on all cylinders. Like just pound for pound, I think that Shotzzy can slay with Kleenex and outslay him, even though it's close. But then the other sub, like Hook, I think can heavily outslay Hexy when it comes down to it. I trust him more. I would take Scrappy over Ghosty in the slaying department, but Ghosty can keep up with him on the right day. But Scrappy's going to win that battle. And then inside for Dashy, I'm taking Dashy all day in the slaying department. So like, I think that's what OpTic really has to do in this matchup is win that slaying battle, and then things will play out for them. And that's what they did in this series. And yeah, they end up taking it.
Yeah. OpTic best team in the game right now.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it was about 320 kills to 297. So, about 25-ish kills roughly. So, I mean, it's a pretty significant amount of kills in a series like this between 2 close teams. Especially considering that like the gap in wasn't massive in Search and Destroy. It was like about 10 kills, but close in the slaying department, but they slightly outslayed them, and those probably few kills per map might have been the difference in the 2 hard points.
Yeah, and OpTic was down like wasn't it 200 to like 140 on the Mercado? Came back and won it.
They were down, had a nice little comeback, able to take the search. They lose a close control, but to be honest with you, 3-2 control loss against Ultra isn't bad on Hotel because like Hotel control
is weird
for Ultra. Also, might be like the best team at any mode in this game. Like Ultra is so good at Hotel control, and that was a weird map. They were like speed running offenses back and forth.
Yeah, what was it? What was that map I was watching with you? OpTic literally speed ran it. A B got all 4 dead, and all 4 dead A, and they capped it, and then they still lost that map.
Yeah, and like, yeah, and that was the round 5. I'm pretty sure.
I think it was
round 5.
Because
I know, like, I think it was because they speed ran the first 4 offenses on each other. I'm pretty sure they Like OpTic won offense, Ultra won offense, OpTic won, then Ultra won. They won 4 offenses in a row, I think, to start the map.
Yeah, I think so.
Just a speed run of offenses. Like it was just a sloppy map, and if you beat Ultra on Hotel Control, that's something different because they're very good at that game mode.
Mm-hmm. Also, Scrappy loves just Hotel in general for some reason.
Yeah, he's a beast. Hotel respawns, especially, he's a beast on that map.
Yeah.
I guess the Ultra, it's kind of like a whatever weekend for them, for me, because they're Ultra. They played OpTic. That was their only match. It was very close. They look like an incredible team right now in great form. Maybe mention Faze. They 3-0 Legion, which with Legion the way they're playing is not something to just brush over. Faze absolutely dominates. Slasher had a big series. Cellium had a big series. I think it was really nice to say one person you called out, Simp, had a 1 point, almost 1.3 in the series. Had a 2.0 in the map 1 hardpoint. We saw him go 7-3 in the search, get back to the old Simp, and he struggled a little bit in the control 20 and 27, but they were able to get the dub, and he played very good in the other respawns. So I think it was good to see Simp bounce back after you called him out.
Yeah, I love to see the old Simp for the first 2 maps. That's what I'm used to seeing.
Yeah, I mean, if the old Simp comes out consistently, watch out. Faze become a team to be reckoned with. And I will say in this series, in the next series against London, he did go 22 and 15 in the hard point. He had just a 5-5 search, whatever. Had an okay control, and he did go 17 and 17 in the final map, but it was just an absolute blowout 100-point club, so it's kind of hard to judge anything on that map. But hey, good weekend out of Faze. They go 2-0 in a weekend. They should go 2-0. You can't blame them for beating two teams that were in front of them.
Yeah, I agree.
Last team, let's talk about the last match here. Vegas versus Rokkr. A huge win for Vegas. They would have been pretty down. Rokkr would have been 2-1 with a decent chance to make winners with just 1 win this weekend. Vegas would have been 1-3, pretty much eliminated from winners and down 20 points. So they had to win this. They're down in that Embassy hardpoint and down 2-1 in the series. They rip off a huge comeback. Standy pops off. Temp pops off on that map. And then Game 5, even though he wasn't having the best series, in Game 5, Clay comes out. He steps up. He goes 11-4. Temp goes 11-3. The Pioneer TJ goes 6-5, and Standy was like, you know what? I did enough in the map 4. I'm just going to cool it with 190 damage.
He's just sitting there.
But a huge win from Vegas. I would say arguably the biggest qualifying match victory of the season for any team almost.
Yeah. Big W.
Yeah, I mean, they lose this one, they're probably headed to losers, and Minnesota have an inside track to winners, and Minnesota would be up 20 points. Like, this would be a disaster. Vegas loses this, and they clutch up when it matters most. So shout out to Vegas. I'm so glad they won. Even though everybody knows I do like to cheer for Minnesota because of how close we are and how I like how their orgs run. But I think you, me, everyone, we want to see Vegas win this match to make things more interesting for the major. Yeah. We don't want to see the 8 teams basically locked up heading into the major. We want Vegas to be in winners. Screw it. If I get the best of both worlds, Vegas and Rokkr both make winners. And Vegas is down like 10 points, and it's just a run to see who can go further. And whoever goes further makes the champs. But in my ideal world, they both make it.
They both make winners, and then let's just say like Minnesota wins, they go all the way to the finals and beat Vegas in the finals.
Yeah, I mean, the absolute ideal world, is that they both make finals, and then actually, what would be interesting is if they both made finals, we were about to say they'd be playing for a spot of champs, but like low key, if they both made finals and Boston bowed out like top 12 or top 8, they probably both would jump Boston.
Yeah, because Boston's only like 20 points ahead right now.
They're only like 20 or 30 points ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, I think we might have lost Brock for a second. I think we lost you for a second. What'd you say?
I said they're only like up 20 points right now. Boston is.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So it was like, we were saying like they'd be playing for a spot at champs for the final, but actually in that situation, unless Boston made a run to like top 4 also, Boston would probably be eliminated in that situation, which would be crazy, a crazy turn of events that both Vegas and Legion would end up making it. I'm going to go on a limb though and say that Vegas and Minnesota will not be in the final of Major 5. Bold prediction.
You might be right.
if I'm somehow wrong, and these 2 teams meet in the final, that'd be something.
That'd just be the end all.
Yeah, that would be insane. We can move on to predictions though if you're ready to rock it.
Yep, I'm good. Let's run
All
it.
right. Let's talk predictions. The standings for this major. We're both doing very well. So this past weekend in our little point scale, I got 14. Brock got 11, which I mean, we mentioned it last week, but like 9 was Brock's second highest week ever. 11 now becomes his second highest week ever, behind that final week of Major 4. And 14 is what I got, becomes my new third highest ever on the season. Like, this was a very good couple weeks for us. You're at 20, and I'm at 26 for our scores. So 20 is already one off your high, which was last
Yep.
major. Let's jump into it. Our first match, I don't want to spend a lot of time on, though. We got another toilet bowl. We got Florida versus London. I'll go out and I'll say I'm taking Florida 3-2. And I'm only going to put 1 point on it because you never know who to bet on with these two teams that are just dead.
Mm-hmm. Man, another toilet bowl part 3.
We keep getting toilet bowl like match 1 of the day on Fridays.
I'm gonna go Florida 3-1, and I'll put 1 point.
Florida 3-1, 1 point. All right, it's a little different map count than me. Let's move on from that toilet bowl we got in that first match, though. Then the second match of the day, a crucial one, honestly. Like we said, as it comes towards champs qualification, it's Minnesota versus LAT. There was ever a chance for Minnesota to beat LAT, it's got to be here, right? With LAT being 0-3 so far in the split, really struggling. They have dominated Minnesota this year, like we said, though. And I'm going to say that doesn't change. I still just like this LAT team to beat Minnesota. I was going to pick a 3-2, but with how much success they've had against them, I think it's just a mental block probably for Minnesota at this point. So I'm going to say LAT 3-1. I'm going to put 2 points on it. Although I'm maybe not as confident enough to put 2 points on it, but I'm just going to say I'm going to because of just how much LAT's dominated them this year. It would take a lot for Minnesota to just triple their map wins against Thieves in one series.
It's not very likely.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say 3-0 LAT.
You think they continue that absolute dominance?
Yes, and put 2 points on it as well.
All right, I like it. It's just so hard to pick Minnesota to win that one, right? With how much LAT's dominated them. Although I also kind of want them to lose it for storylines. I really would like. I mean, I wouldn't mind them winning one of them and having Vegas also win.
Mm-hmm.
That way, they're like down 10, but they're both in winners. At the same time, also, it would be kind of cool to have Vegas win, be in winners, and Minnesota be in losers, and they're exactly tied. If there was only a world where we could get them both tied and in winners, but that's not possible because Minnesota probably has to win the 2 matches this week. But that would be the world.
Yeah, it would be really would be.
Our last match, though, I don't know why, but I feel like I predicted this match like 7,000 weeks in a row. It feels like this match has happened so many times, but it hasn't. Seattle versus NYSL. Maybe because like Seattle versus Toronto and Seattle versus Boston, they like all feel the same as this match for some reason in my head. We got Seattle versus NYSL. Where are you leaning here?
Oh, Seattle plays. Okay. I do think Seattle will take it 3-2, game 5. Not round 11, 6-4. 6-4.
6-4, you got
1 point on it.
1 on it. I'm like always known for picking Seattle, and I want to pick them also, but I'm going to switch it up. I don't want to go chalk the same day as you, so I'm taking NYSL. I'll say they win it 3-1. I'm only going to put 1 point also because everybody knows I like to pick Seattle all the time for some reason. Even though they're not that kind to me, it's kind of like my LAG. For some reason, I pick Seattle all the time, or Boston this year. But I like NYSL to have a chance to get done. I really do think this is a toss-up series. Normally,
Yeah.
I'd probably lean Seattle, but Seattle, despite their last win before that, they looked very shaky. So kind of, I don't know. It's hard to have a lot of faith in Seattle. NYSL also can be shaky at times. So two teams that are hard to have faith in, but I think it's kind of a toss-up, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree.
Then we've got Vegas versus Seattle. Biggest match of the year now for Vegas becomes this one. Win and you're in winner's bracket. You've got a very good track towards champs. Losing, you're likely in loser's bracket, and things become a lot tougher for you. You're going to have to win minimum one match in order to qualify at the major if you lose here. So where are you leaning? Vegas gets it done, or Seattle kind of crushes their chances?
Big match, man. I'm going to go Game 5, Round 11. TJ Halley. Lights are not too bright for Tej. I'll
All
put
right,
2
I like
points
it.
on it.
I'm going to do the exact same thing. Vegas 3-2, but I'm putting 1 point on it only. I'm going a lot of 1 points. Probably more 1 points I've ever done in a single week right now, but it's just such a tough match. I feel like there's going to be a lot of pressure in this match. They talked about how like maybe there was a lot of pressure in the last one, but Donnie was saying how he didn't feel it, like he just had to step up. But like they're going to be feeling some pressure. Like if a map 5 hits, they're going to be feeling some pressure because they know how crucial it is for them to win this series. I do like Seattle's chances in the respawns, although I think with the way Vegas has been playing Hardpoint lately, they could definitely take it. And Seattle does like to play Embassy, and Vegas also does. So if they square up, I do think there's a decent chance Vegas could beat them in an Embassy, and then I like Vegas in the searches. So like to me, this is a situation where as long as Vegas can take one of the hard points, I think they can take the series because I do think they'll get both searches. They just have to find a way to be able to force that map 5 to win it.
Yeah.
So I like Vegas 3-2, but that's a tough one to call.
But it will be a good match, hopefully. Like we predicted.
Yeah. Hopefully a 3-2. Hopefully it's like you predicted, down to like a 1v1 round 11 or something.
That would just be insane, honestly. Keep
That'd be
the
nice
hopes
to see,
alive.
Then we got LAG versus Toronto. Sorry, I skipped one. We got Florida versus Texas. Kind of the same caliber of match. We got our top 2 teams playing arguably our bottom 2 teams, or 2 of our bottom teams. So, I mean, what way are you picking OpTic? 3-0, 3-1, or 3-2?
3-1. 1 point. OpTic. Texas.
Only 1 point?
I know the 2.
I was about to say. I'm going 3-0 OpTic, and I'm putting 4 on that thing. I was expecting you to veto my 4 on this one.
No, you can. I got a different one.
I'm assuming you're using it on the next one. I was thinking. But I'm putting 4 points on OpTic to win 3-0. I mean, they're best team in the game right now, and they're playing Florida, who's a bottom 2 or 3 team, so it's hard not to pick it. I thought you were going to veto me on this one, and I was going to have to use it on the next one, which is Toronto versus LAG, another, like we said, top 2, top 3 team versus a toilet bowl team, your boys LAG. I'll go first, and I'll say Toronto 3-0s here as well, and I'm going to put 2 on that. Are you gonna be crazy and throw 4 on LAG, or what's going on here?
This is LAG's last match, right? For basically,
yep, because they're eliminated from champs. I guess last match of qualifying. They do have the tournament left.
I got the tournament. Oh man, it'd be so much cooler if that last match overall. They're getting 3-0 curb stopped, and they're gonna go into the tournament and just get 3-0 again and go home. I've seen enough.
Yeah,
they did win. They did win last week, but they're not beating Toronto.
I would be shocked if they did.
I'll put my 4 points on that one as well.
Wow, your final 4 points of the season gets thrown against your boys.
Yep.
Now this would just be poetic justice if LAG came out and won this one. Now
it would be.
You've thrown 4 points on them all year. They've screwed you over all year. Honestly, the difference that you've had in your trailing of me probably can be attributed mostly to just putting 4 points in LAG all year.
Yeah.
And now watch the one final dagger to your heart. They'll come out and they'll somehow beat Toronto.
Honestly, that's how the script's gonna be writing.
Yeah, it's all LAG's always been against you all year. Next match we got Atlanta versus Boston. I think we're gonna get triple 3-0s. I'm taking Atlanta 3-0 and I'm putting 2 points on it. Atlanta, historically, since Boston came into the league last year, has really always had their number. Boston was never able to come close to them last year. And I mean, I don't know. I just like this matchup for Atlanta. I think they're going to come out. I think they're going to 3-0 them. I could see like a 3-1 maybe, but I do like Atlanta a lot. So I'm going to go bold and say 3-0, put 2 points on it.
3-0 Atlanta. I'm gonna say wavelength is you. I swear, every time I see this, it's a murder.
Yeah, for whatever reason, because it's not like I don't think Boston's like crazy overmatched talent wise.
Yeah,
like I think like Beans Awakening, Vivid, Kremp. I think these guys can shoot with Atlanta, but for whatever reason, they just normally don't.
the one that sticks out to me is Boston last year when they made it to winners and one of the majors against Atlanta, and they got curb stopped in like 20 minutes, and RC shooting bodies.
Yeah, they've. It seems like every time they played them, it always seemed like they were like the gatekeeper. Like Boston was like, all right, if they can play Faze tight, they could beat one of these other top teams, and they'd play Faze and just get destroyed. And it was like, yep, their slaying is not on that level.
Yeah,
which we were hoping, with the new pickups and everything, big weight could help that out, but hasn't made much of a difference yet thus far. So you said 3-0. How many points on it?
I'm gonna put 1.
Okay.
1 point.
All right, ready to move on to Sunday then. We got the Battle of the North, Minnesota versus Toronto. If things shake out like we thought, and Vegas has already beat Seattle to tie it up, and Minnesota has lost to LAT, that means they're tied up in points. Minnesota's 1-3. That would make this an absolutely crucial match for Minnesota because a win would put them back ahead 10 points and would technically give them the out that if LA or if Vegas gets double first rounded, no matter what they do, they'd still be in it. Like Minnesota would technically have like a slight advantage, even though they'd be in losers. But Minnesota versus Toronto, you think Minnesota can give themselves a slight lead going into the major? You think Toronto takes them out?
I think Toronto will take them out. It'll be a close game though. 3-2. Toronto wins, and I'll put 2 points on it.
I agree. I think Toronto takes them out. I don't think it's as close though. I think it's a 3-1. I think we see some close maps. I think Toronto kind of comes out and dominates them in the map 1, and I think we see a close map 2, 3, and 4. But I think in the end, I'm going to say Minnesota somehow, despite the fact that they've struggled in it, I think they take the search. And then I think it's a 3-1 control. And then I think it's a really close hard point, but Toronto closes them out. I think they handle a map 1, lose the search, 3-1 the control, and then a close hard point takes 3-1. I'm just going to put 1 point on it, though, because you never know. With Minnesota being maybe completely desperate, it's always scary to play a completely desperate team, which will be Minnesota in this situation. Honestly, regardless of what happens with Vegas or LAT, like what happens with either of their matches early in the week, it won't matter because regardless, Minnesota should be. If they're not, there's something wrong with them because they should be in a complete desperate situation to win because they need every single win they can get right now.
Yep, they sure do.
All right, then we got London versus LAT, a match that, the last day of qualifier matches for the season, we really didn't think, a few weeks ago, this would be a very interesting match because obviously, it's been a rough one for London for a long time now. And on the side of LAT, they've been so good recently, but now they look really rough so far this split. So London upset them in their final qualifier match, or LAT just take them out, finally get a win on the board.
LAT is gonna take it 3-0 and go off to the major on a heater. If they win the first match, what I predicted 3-0 against Minnesota.
Double 3-0s, you putting 2 on this one as well?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go out and agree with you. I was gonna say like maybe London get one more match, but I feel like the fight is kind of over in some of these teams. Like final qualifier matches, let's get it done with. We have no chance at winners. Let's just roll it out. So I do feel like it's a little bit tough for some of these teams to find the motivation. You're not going to champs. You're not making winners. It's the final day of the season. Like practice maybe hasn't gone as well. You could assume, especially since apparently it wasn't going that well before when they still technically were mathematically alive for champs. So yeah, I'll agree. Exact same thing. LAT 3-0, putting 2 points on it. Then we end with the sports rivalry: Red Sox, Yankees, Boston, NYSL. Tight match. I feel like this is two teams that are roughly on the same level. Who you got? You think Boston's able to bounce back from the Faze loss? You think NYSL is able to take them out?
NYSL win 3-1. Boston wins the control, and Priest goes crazy.
3-1.
1 point. Yep.
Okay. I'll go opposite of you because we've been first day we had 2 of the same. Second day we went chalk together with almost every map count the same but one.
Yeah.
And then today we have two the same. I'll pick Boston just because I do think this is another toss-up match. I'll say Boston wins it 3-2. How about in a map 5, 6-4 maybe? Only gonna put one because I another toss-up to me. I don't feel crazy confident, but we got to make something different. Although I feel like there wasn't many ways we could really differ. A lot of these matches seem like it's a team that we feel pretty good about versus a team that we don't feel great about. Was a lot of the matches this weekend. So, and then we also both kind of picked like Minnesota losing and Vegas winning because storylines we want them to happen.
Yes. We want that.
But as you know, there's a reason that the scores have been getting better and better. I mean, obviously early on in the season for predictions, your scores are usually not going to be as good because you don't know the teams as well. And then Major 2, we maybe thought we knew them, but didn't, so our scores go down. And then, or no, excuse me, Major 1, it's rough. You don't know. Major 2, you get to know them a little better. Major 3, you think you maybe know them, and things kind of go downhill. But then Major 4, you start to figure it out. We set records. Now Major 5, we're both on pace to potentially break more records because you kind of start to figure teams out, and I feel like we're at that point. So
Yeah.
I say that now, and then we'll both come out with like 2 points or negative points or something.
That would just be a lot of upsets. A lot of upsets happening.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's gonna be a fun weekend though. I'm excited to watch. I'm really getting worried though because Saturday my sister is building a house. She needs help moving. Obviously, I'm gonna go over there and help her move stuff, but I really want to catch that Vegas match. I think we're going over there early in the morning and get some lunch. It'll be my whole family there, so gonna get some lunch with my family. Obviously, hang out with them. But I'm kind of selfishly, secretly hoping that like by 2 o'clock I get a little free time, like maybe sit down, watch that match, and then like if I miss Mutineers, OpTic, and Toronto, LAG, and even Atlanta, Boston, not the end of the world. I just really want to see that Vegas match without knowing what the result is.
Yeah, really, the biggest match is that Vegas.
Like even the first day, like Florida, London, okay. Yikes. LAT, Minnesota, obviously very interested in that one because we want to see what LAT looks like. The struggles in Minnesota, obviously, any match that Minnesota plays in right now is an interesting one. Seattle NYSL is intriguing too because I do want to see how both those teams look because they're teams that I feel like are those random teams that you can really make a good bracket with because those are two teams that could make a run slightly unexpectedly. You could see one of those two teams make a top 4 run.
Yeah.
So like, kind of want to get a good pulse on where they're at, and then obviously that Vegas match, like we said, really the only great match on Saturday. Then Sunday we got some intriguing ones though. I feel like Boston NYSL. We all know you love to watch NYSL play.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I don't hate their players. Just I don't know something about them.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously Minnesota plays Sunday. Like we said, interesting matches. But yeah, so a lot of like top teams or good teams versus non-qualified teams. But as we get to the end of the year with this current format, some matches do start to get a little bit boring because there are just inherently teams that are going to be out of the race, like Florida versus London. The only way that you can make that fun is if you throw some prize picks bets on it or something.
Yeah, really.
Because, they're kind of out of it.
Yeah, really just really excited to get these matches over with and see how it shakes out and on to the major then champs.
Yeah, we're at that point of the year, aren't we? Where it's just like, all right, I'm having fun. It's still COD. I still love competitive COD, but we're at the point of the year where it's like, get me to the major, get me to champs. Like, I want to see what happens. We're to that point of the year.
I love watching champs, seeing who crumbles and all that, who doesn't, who shows up.
Yeah, champs is the best time of year. But
yep.
Oh yeah, I'm not looking forward to that off season though. It's always harder to find content to make in the off season because there's only so much roster rumor stuff. So you're gonna have to be doing a lot of throwback content and like drafts and like random shorter podcasts. Probably be doing like podcasts that are like half an hour or less. But it's gonna be rough because we saw that new date for the season's November, which means the CDL probably doesn't kick off till December or January. So season ends now in early June instead of August. So we're looking at potentially 6 to 7 months of off season.
Yeah.
So you down below in the comments, think about content ideas for Brock and I in the offseason. Podcast probably won't be an hour long like they have been recently. And Brock and I will get a little bit of breather time, not as busy on the weekends. I will say that is the nice thing about it ending early is I like to golf. You and I like to golf together in the summer with our friends. We like to play some basketball. We like to do a lot. So it is a little bit nice to have our weekends a little more freed up. Not that we're like have to be tied down to watch every second of every match, but like we obviously like to come on here with the matches watched and not be completely oblivious to what happened. And when it would run till August, we had to really pay attention at that time of year. So it is maybe a little bit nice for the fact that we get a little more, time to go golf and stuff on the weekends.
Yeah, 100%. Just go do stuff.
But then once October hits, we're 4 months into the off season, still 2-3 months away from the new season. I'm gonna be like, damn, why couldn't we have gone to August?
Yeah.
Because it gets brutal out there sometimes to think of ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got nothing else though. If you're ready to wrap it up, we're just under an hour here. Get the people out. Get on. Maybe go. I might go chill outside for a little bit. Nice and warm out here.
No, I don't got much else to say.
All right. That's going to do it for this one. If you guys enjoyed this one, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. Like I said, about at that 975 sub mark. I know we've been harping on it, but Brock and I would appreciate the support if you guys could get us to 1,000. Because, I mean, I know it's only 25 subs or whatever, but that 1,000 mark is kind of something special on YouTube and everything. Like, technically, I guess, isn't any different than, the numbers real close to it. But for whatever reason, when you see that 1K being hit, it's kind of a cool milestone. So we'd appreciate if you guys are listening. You're not subbed. It doesn't cost you anything. Hit that sub button. Support us. If you're on the audio platforms, drop a follow, drop a 5-star review. We continue to see great numbers over there. There's a new feature they added on the Spotify for Podcasters app where it shows your follower count on Spotify alone, not other ones. But that number seems to be, increasing rapidly, like it was during the days when we randomly went from 300 subs to 800 in a very quick span. That's kind of the growth we're seeing right now on Spotify. So I'd love to see that. Where Spotify, I'll it's hard to, I don't want to expose all the analytics. Maybe I'll take a screenshot one day we hit a milestone, but I'll say we're catching up to YouTube on Spotify in terms of follower count, which is really cool to see because it seems like it's maybe a harder platform to grow on. Because I mean, at least for me, I listen to podcasts. There are certain podcasts I listen to every week. I don't know about you, Brock, but there are certain podcasts I listen to every week that I probably don't even have the follow button hit because it's just not something I do on Spotify for whatever reason. I should to support the people, but I just don't think of it.
Yeah. I don't really watch too many podcasts on Spotify. I'd just probably be on YouTube.
Yeah. It's just you don't think of it. On YouTube, it's easy. Oh, I like this guy. Subscribe. You watch him like that, but I don't know. It's not something you think about Spotify. But
even on YouTube, I would always watch the videos, but not subscribe for a long time still.
I just did that the other day. I don't remember who it was, but I subbed to somebody. I think it was somebody in COD. And it was I had been watching their videos. Honestly, you know who it might have been? It might have been Hecz. I don't know if I unsubbed from it one time, but I've been watching Hecz literally in 60, 50 or before days because I always liked all those vlogs and everything. And I don't, maybe it wasn't Hecz, but it was somebody that I had been watching for years and years and years. And I just realized I wasn't subscribed. And I was like, damn, I'm preaching that you should subscribe if you're watching all the podcasts. And I'm not even doing it to this dude. So obviously it wasn't on purpose, but it is crazy. You're not wrong. You could watch somebody for years and just realize that you just they always pop up being recommended. So you just never hit subscribe on them.
It's never think about it.
Yeah. Because it's either way, whether I'm subscribed or not, I'm coming back to watch your videos. So if that's you right now, you're thinking, wow, I've been listening to the podcast for a year and I never hit subs, smash that sub button. I know we got one of you to do it. That's going to do it for this one, though. We appreciate all the support. Regardless, looking forward to watching matches, and we're looking forward to get on to Major 5 and Champs. Damn it. So thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one with the final major predictions of the season. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.